Many years ago, there lived a grown man named Papilo Obiajulu, but the whole community chose to call him Papy because, according to them, Papilo was too long for somebody who could not finish any task. Papy was 34 years old, but his brain clock was still somewhere around 13. And if irresponsibility were an Olympic sport, he would bring home gold medal every year with confidence. From childhood, Papy showed clear signs of what he would become because when other children were learning multiplication table, he was learning how to disappear. And when his mother told him to go and buy salt, he returned 3 hours later claiming he forgot why he left the house because he got distracted playing draft with strangers. Mama Papy would shake her head and say, "My son is special. His greatness is loading." Meanwhile, his greatness was loading slower than free airport Wi-Fi. Papilo once lost 14 lunch boxes in one term, and when his teacher asked him where they went, he confidently said, "I think the boxes are missing the original house." He once forgot his school bag on exam day and told his teacher he left it inside future. He misplaced his bicycle while riding it and came home panting, "Mommy, somebody has stolen my bicycle from under me." Well, Mama Papy still defended him each time, shouting, "Leave my son, he will be a great man one day." As time went on, Papy built a strong reputation for unfinished projects. He could start washing plates and end up sleeping on the chair with sponge still inside the plates. And he could start sweeping outside but end up chasing butterfly across the streets, forgetting the broom like an abandoned child. His neighbors watched his progress with pity, and sometimes they held prayer meetings on his behalf. In secondary school, he earned the official nickname Chief Promise and Fail because anytime anyone sent him on an errand, he would reply, "I dey come," and they would never see him again until next week. When they confronted him, he would say, "My spirit forgot, but my mind remembered later." By the time Papy became an adult, everyone expected seriousness to upgrade his life automatically like a software update. But instead, his irresponsibility grew wings and feathers like an eagle. He changed jobs more than Nigeria changes fuel prices. And every time he got fired, he would say, "It was not my calling. I will find a job that understands me." Meanwhile, the job he wanted was joblessness. He got fired from a supermarket job because he slept inside the storeroom on top of cartons of milk, and he got fired from a barber shop job because he watched football instead of cutting customers' hair. He once trimmed somebody's hair into a half-moon shape while shouting at the TV during a penalty shootout. That customer cried like a widow and vowed never to return again. To make matters worse, Papy became the master of excuses. If he woke up late, he would say traffic entered his dream. If he missed an appointment, he would say his shadow refused to follow him. If he ruined something, he would say the container offended gravity. He posted motivational quotes on Facebook like, "Soft life over stress. Life is too short to walk anyhow." Meanwhile, his mother was walking like a donkey while he was sleeping like a factory exhaust fan. One afternoon, he put a pot of rice on fire and forgot it completely. Instead of checking on it, he posted a selfie online with the caption, "God is good." It was when smoke filled the whole building that neighbors ran out shouting, "Fire, fire!" They rushed to rescue the pot, but it had already turned to black charcoal with attitude. When they asked Papy why he forgot it, he casually said, "Rice does not need too much attention. I was meditating." He once went to buy tomatoes for stew, but returned home with an empty nylon bag and confidently explained that he didn't like the attitude of the tomatoes and didn't want to spoil his financial plan. The entire compound almost collapsed from laughter and anger that day. That was the day someone from the neighborhood shouted loudly, "Papy is the most irresponsible man alive ever," and the name stuck like super glue. Yet, Papy moved through life as if everything was fine and nothing was ever his fault. He woke up every morning around 1 p.m. Afternoon, scratched his stomach like a lazy crocodile, wore shorts that had seen better days, and sat outside to play games on his phone while giving other unemployed people motivational advice he never followed. Every night, his mother turned him into a prayer point. God, fix this boy before the world mocks me. Meanwhile, Papy would be inside the bedroom snoring loudly like a broken motorcycle muffler. However, many months later, when Papy was already a well-established champion of irresponsibility, and when even the goats in the neighborhood crossed the road whenever they saw him coming because they didn't want him to infect them with irresponsibility, love decided to enter his life like an unexpected rain during Harmattan. He was in this state of life when the innocent and hopeful Ebere walked into his world believing love could transform disaster into a miracle. Ebere was not foolish, no. She was just one of those women who believed that every broken man can be fixed, like a rechargeable lantern battery that just needed charging. She met Papy one Sunday after church service when he fell down dramatically while trying to impress people by pretending to speak in tongues and dance like Michael Jackson without balance. His shoe flew to one side, his Bible fell to the other side, and he landed on the ground with so much noise that ushers ran to help him. As he stood up, their eyes met and Ebere smiled shyly. Immediately, Papy winked and said in a deep romantic voice, "Heaven just sent me a blessing. My spirit chose you from the foundation of the world." Ebere blushed small because she thought it was the Holy Spirit speaking. She didn't know that she had just greeted the Nigerian textbook of irresponsibility. From that day, Papy started forming gentleman. He stopped sleeping beside the compound generator and started brushing his teeth at least 3 times a week. He borrowed Benson's perfume and sprayed it until mosquitoes fainted. He even ironed his shirt with a pot cover because his pressing iron had stopped working since 2019. He would visit Ebere and sit straight like a British prince, speaking deep grammar he stored from TikTok motivational speakers. "My queen, I am building something big, a global destiny, a massive project. Just trust the process. Vision takes time." Meanwhile, the only thing he was building was hunger. But Ebere believed him and said, "Papy, I believe in you. I know you will succeed soon." And Papy replied confidently, "Success is already in my pockets. I just haven't opened the pockets yet." Neighbors warned her, "Sister Ebere, don't try it oh. Papy is a full-grown problem." But Ebere would smile and answer, "Love changes people." Ebere even started giving him small money for business planning, but instead of planning business, he used it to play sports betting and eat nkwobi at night. Every time she asked how the business was going, he said, "Don't worry, baby, I am conducting a research. Rome was not built in a day." One day, she gave him 50,000 naira to start a POS business, but he used it to buy football jersey, Bluetooth speaker, and 5 plates of pepper soup. Then, he told her the money disappeared mysteriously. Another day, she asked him to boil water so she could bathe after work, only for her to enter the kitchen and find the kettle on the fire, but with no water inside at all. The plastic handle had melted into black rubber. She screamed, "Papy, what is this?" And he responded with a straight face, "Babe, calm down. The kettle should be responsible for holding water. Why should I do everything?" Ebere felt her spirit leave her body for 2 seconds. But instead of running away like sensible people would, she sat down and said, "I will help him grow. He will change. He just needs encouragement." Even heaven sighed in tiredness that day. Another time, she sent him to buy tomatoes and he returned with an empty nylon. She screamed, "Papy, where are the tomatoes?" And he proudly said, "I rejected them. The tomatoes were rude and overpriced. A leader must take bold financial decisions." Ebere almost fainted. Yet, Every evening, Papy would sit in front of their compound giving free motivational speeches to other idle men. My brothers, we must refuse to stress. Soft life is the goal. You cannot pressure yourself into success. Sleep well to succeed. Meanwhile, Ebere was inside washing clothes, cooking, sweeping and working double shifts to feed both of them and support his wild dreams. Benson, his responsible friend, pulled him aside one evening and said, "Papy, try and get a job now, even if it is a small job." But Papy answered with an amused voice, "Me? Job? I don't do jobs. Jobs do me. I am not meant for small things." And as he was speaking, he yawned and slept off mid-sentence like a phone battery that died without warning. Ebere looked at him sleeping like an overfed goat and thought, maybe marriage will change him. Maybe responsibility will enter his head when he becomes a father. Oh, sweet girl, if only she knew that marriage does not change irresponsibility, it only multiplies it. After many months of ignoring every red flag that was waving like the Nigerian police stopping a commercial bus, Ebere finally agreed to marry Papy, believing with her whole innocent chest that marriage would automatically pour sense into his head like a bucket of cold water. She told herself that once Papy carried the title of husband and eventually father, responsibility would enter him by force like Holy Ghost fire. On the wedding day, people were eating jollof rice happily while in their hearts they were praying for her safety. Even the MC was confused and kept looking at Papy like somebody trying to remember where he had seen that face on the news. When they danced into the hall as a couple, Papy sprayed 20 naira notes and shouted, "Money is not my problem. God has blessed me." Meanwhile, he borrowed the money from Benson that same morning and promised to return it before nightfall. He didn't. Unfortunately, immediately after the 24 hours honeymoon, Papy's true colors came out faster than cheap hair dye under the rain. Marriage changed him indeed. It changed him from ordinary irresponsibility to premium irresponsibility with extra features. Now that he had a wife, he believed he was entitled to rest permanently. So, he resigned from the only job he had managed to keep for 3 weeks and declared, "Babe, I need to focus on my calling. Working for people limits destiny." Ebere asked, "Papy, what exactly is your calling?" He inhaled deeply like a prophet and answered, "I don't know yet, but it is big." From that day, he became a full-time sleeper and part-time eater. He slept like somebody placed on a salary for sleeping. He woke up by 1 p.m. every day, scratched his stomach, stretched his neck like a tired giraffe and said, "Life is tough. Let me rest small, abeg." Meanwhile, Ebere woke up at 4:30 a.m. to prepare food, wash clothes, clean the house and rush to work. And each time she asked for help, he gave excuses that could kill a battery percentage. "My leg is paining me silently. My destiny is in quiet mode. I need peace. I cannot sweep today. The broom doesn't like me." Whenever bills came, he suddenly developed sickness like an unpaid actor. His stomach would pain him mysteriously. His neck would twist. His voice would disappear and even his shadow would look tired. One day, NEPA brought a light bill of 22,500 naira and Papy fainted dramatically. He fell long like a broomstick and shouted, "Jehovah, why me again?" And Ebere stood there staring like a widow, preparing to slap sense into her husband's ghost. Then their baby came, a bouncing baby boy with a loud voice like police siren. Now, Ebere expected Papy to rise to responsibility immediately, but instead, he rose to invisible fatherhood, meaning he disappeared anytime he heard the baby's cry. If she asked him to carry the baby, he would suddenly remember something urgent. I left water boiling in my dream. I must go and check it. Then he would run outside and pretend to be busy. The day she asked him to help change diaper, he screamed, I cannot do it though. My spirit does not connect to smelling things. The neighbors laughed until tears came out. Then, one hot afternoon, he carried the baby to the balcony to give him fresh air to grow sense, only for him to forget the baby there completely because football match started. Ebere searched the whole house, crying like an ambulance siren, before their neighbor shouted, somebody's baby is on the balcony alone, oh. When she ran up and saw her baby sweating like pure water under the sun, she almost slapped Papy into next century. She shouted, are you mad? Is this how to be responsible? And Papy replied with confidence, you should thank me. I am teaching him survival. That day, love left Ebere's chest and traveled to Togo. But she still stayed until the day some loan officers knocked on their door one early morning like soldiers on assignment. They shouted, open this door. You took 650,000 naira loan. We must collect our money today. Ebere opened the door shaking and confused. The man waved printed papers with her name on it. Madam, this loan is in your name. Ebere shouted, Jesus, I never took any loan in my life, oh. Papy appeared with a towel tied on his waist and a wig on his head because he was using it to do TikTok video. The loan officers grabbed him and a full fight started outside. Neighbors came out to watch free movies. Papy shouted, leave me. I said I will pay tomorrow. The men shouted, you said the same thing 3 months ago. The whole compound laughed like mad people. Somebody even recorded the scene and the video went viral immediately with the caption, live, the most irresponsible man alive ever caught on camera. Ebere felt her soul leave her body. Her heart broke into small pieces like granules under grinding stone. And that was when she realized that marriage does not change an irresponsible person. It only makes the irresponsibility louder. That was the day she decided she was done. But life was not done dealing with Papy properly. Since he had been so stubborn, life brought Koboko this time around. The video of Papy shouting with towel and wig on his head did not just go viral. It flew like a bird across Instagram, TikTok, Facebook and WhatsApp status. Even Twitter people used it for meme. Online people changed his title to Papy, the National Minister of Irresponsibility. If he coughed outside, people would point, look at him, that is the man who fought loan officers wearing wig. His disgrace spread faster than 5G network, and Ebere could no longer walk in peace without people tapping her shoulder saying, sorry oh my sister, you tried. Days later, the landlord, an angry old man with chest hair like confused bush, called a compound meeting and stood like a judge announcing a death sentence. He said, Papy, I have tolerated nonsense from you for 3 years. You disturb this compound. You burn rice. You owe rent for 6 months. You fight loan officers. You put baby under the sun like roasted corn. Everything ends today. I am giving you people 1 week to pack out. The compound shouted, yes, throw them out. Papy looked at Ebere, expecting her to defend him like always. But she sat quietly like someone rehearsing divorce in her head. She had reached a point where tears refused to come out again. Her spirit was tired of crying. That night, Papy tried to explain, babe, calm down. The loan is not that serious, so after all, everybody owes somebody. Ebere turned slowly and asked, Papy, why are you like this? Instead of answering, Papy started crying dramatically. People don't understand me. Destiny is fighting me. My village people want to stop my greatness. Ebere stared at him like someone watching a rented film. That night, she packed her bag with her baby at her back and told him, I am tired. I can't continue mothering a grown man. I need peace before madness falls on me. Papy knelt down crying and held her leg like someone begging for the last plate of jollof rice. He kept shouting, Ebere, don't leave me. I will change tomorrow. I promise. Ebere pulled her leg off and said, your tomorrow never comes. And with that, she walked out. Papy lay on the floor crying like a toddler whose biscuit was snatched off. He shouted, "God, why me? Why is life unfair to me?" And God in heaven probably whispered, "Because you refuse to use your brain." The following day, the landlord threw his mattress and clothes outside like rejected sacrifice, and Papy officially became homeless. He went to his mother's house hoping for pity, but Mama Papy was waiting at the door with a cane in her hand and her face full of disappointment. She shouted, "Papilo Obiajulu, I have raised a goat. He goat. You have disgraced me nationwide. People are sending me your viral video. You wore wig and fought loan officers, Abi. Is that your destiny?" For the first time in her life, Mama Papy beat him like a rented drum. After beating him, she cried and said, "I protected you too much. I covered your foolishness, thinking it was greatness loading. Now see the disgrace." Papy left with swollen eyes and bruised ego, wandering the streets like a confused plantain. His friend Benson found him sitting near the gutter and begged him to change. But Papy looked into the space and murmured, "Everything I touch scatters. Maybe I was not born to be responsible." Even Benson became tired. For days, Papy slept on an old wooden bench at an abandoned shop, using nylon bag as blankets. Whenever someone passed, they pointed and mocked, "Look, that is the national embarrassment." But Papy remained unshaken until reality finally landed inside his head like a heavy cement block. Hunger slapped his stomach like thunder, and mosquitoes held night conference on his body. For the first time in his entire irresponsible life, Papy opened his mouth and whispered, "Hi, maybe the problem has been me all along." That sentence alone shook the foundation of heaven. He finally realized that irresponsibility was expensive and disgrace was more painful than malaria. The night he spent sleeping outside on an old wooden bench humbled him like a spoon inside hot pap, and every mosquito bite sounded like a sermon preaching, "Grow up, Papy, grow up." Reality didn't stop slapping him until his pride packed its load and left. One bright morning, Benson found him again, sitting by a pavement, holding bread nylon like a certificate and staring into space like a retired goat. Benson squatted beside him and asked, "Papy, are you now ready to change?" And for the first time in history, Papy nodded without an argument. He simply said, "I am tired of suffering. I want to be a man." Benson smiled like an angel sent from above and told him about a construction site looking for laborers. Papy swallowed his saliva loudly because he had never done real work in his entire life. But hunger pressed his neck and said, "If you say no, we will swallow your intestines." So he followed Benson to the site, and that day was the beginning of a new education, University of Hard Work. He carried blocks until his hands shook like an epileptic patient, and he mixed cement until his legs vibrated like a faulty washing machine. He closed work that night and slept outside again, but this time not from laziness, from real tiredness. Every day, he walked under the hot sun, sweating like roasted goat's meat, and each ache in his body told him, "This is responsibility, this is life." Slowly, small humility entered his heart. He stopped forming motivational speaker and started listening to real advice. He saved little money, bought second-hand clothes, rented a tiny room like shoebox, and started becoming useful. One afternoon, he looked in the mirror and almost didn't recognize himself because his foolishness had reduced from 99% to maybe 44%. He said to his own reflection, "I was not fighting village people, I was fighting myself." Meanwhile, Ebere was doing pretty well peacefully with her baby boy, who now called every man uncle because he never knew a father's responsibility. She worked hard, took care of the baby, and healed slowly from emotional injury. When people asked if she missed Papy, she smiled and answered, "I miss peace more. Thank God I now have it." Months later, on their son's first birthday, she invited Papy to attend because she believed in forgiveness. Everyone watched carefully, waiting for drama, but Papy walked in quietly, wearing a clean shirt and holding a small wrapped gift he bought with sweat money. He did not show foolishness. He did not show off, and he did not form swag. He just stood peacefully and said, "Happy birthday, my son." The baby looked at him like a stranger. Then he laughed and hugged him. The crowd sighed emotionally. Someone whispered at the back, "Is that the same Papy that fought loan officers with towel and wig?" Another person replied, "Life beats nonsense out of him." During the speech time, Papy stepped forward, held a microphone and spoke from his heart. "I was a man by age, but a child by behavior. I lost everything because I refused to grow up. Now, I know that irresponsibility is very expensive. I destroyed love, broke my home, and disgraced myself. If you are a man listening to me, please work hard, take responsibility. Don't wait for life to flog you before you learn. Marriage is partnership, not punishment. A woman is not a slave. Don't marry if you are not ready to grow." Everywhere became quiet like a night burial. A baby wiped her tears slowly. She felt both sadness and relief. She said, "I forgive you, Papilo, but forgiveness is not an invitation to come back. We will raise our child together, peacefully but separately." Papy nodded calmly and accepted without an argument. He simply said, "Thank you for teaching me what life could not teach me before." And from that day, Papy became known not as the most irresponsible man alive ever, but as the man who finally woke up. He started visiting schools to talk to young boys about discipline and responsibility. One day, he told them boldly, "Don't be a grown man with a baby mind. Don't let your wife suffer because you fear work. Be a man that a woman is proud to follow." People clapped and a baby carried her baby, smiled and muttered, "Some men learn with love, some learn with heartbreak, and some learn with shame." But Papilo learned with all three. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. What lesson did you learn from the story? Kindly share the story out with your loved ones and give the story a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye!